Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone, and welcome to a Tuesday night edition of Legends from the Past and Future show. Tonight is our first health and fitness show with none other than the guru herself, the subject matter expert, Melisa Natapraya. Boy, we have a show tonight. We got some high-powered guests that we're going to introduce, but before we do that, I'm going to bring Melissa to the show.
On today's episode, we're joined by Melisa Natapraya, or as many know her, Coach Mel. A retired U.S. Army Medical Service Corps officer, Mel dedicated 23 years of service to our nation before bringing her passion for leadership and wellness into the fitness world. She holds a master's degree in psychology from Hood College and is an active member of the Professional Organization of Women of Excellence, always finding ways to give back to her community. For more than 25 years, fitness has been her lifestyle and her calling. Now, as co-owner of MK Elite Fitness, she serves as a master fitness trainer certified through the National Academy of Sports Medicine. She specializes in high-intensity interval training, women's and senior fitness, Thai body massage, and yoga instruction. As a health coach, veteran, mother, and advocate for behavior change, Mel is passionate about helping people transform their bodies and lives through functional fitness, nutrition, and a holistic approach to wellness. Her motto says it best: if you touch it, you are committed. Please welcome Coach Mel to the show.
Here she is. How you doing, Melissa?
I am great. I am great. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, and welcome to your show.
Hello. Thank you. First of all, I have to say thank you, Armand, for allowing me to have the opportunity in this platform to talk to individuals about health and wellness. You've known me for a long time, so you absolutely know that this is a passion of mine, a love of love. So thank you. I am thanking my creator, God, for having me here, being able to advocate and be the catalyst for change for people. And tonight I have an amazing lineup of individuals that are fitness gurus as well. They're here to bring their knowledge, answer questions, and yeah, so here we are, and I'm excited.
Well, before I pass it over to you, let me let everybody know how you and I met. We met at Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. And I will never forget how you used to take the candy off my desk and hide it. It used to upset me. You know that, right?
But it was for your good. It
It's
was for your good. You used to try to hide it from me, but that drawer in the top, I'm like, I know he lying.
Well, you know what I'm going to do, Melissa?
What's
All right.
that?
We're going to bring your guest to the stage. And then after we do that, guess what I'm going to do?
What's that?
I'm going to disappear. And it's going to be your night. Does that sound good?
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So we're going to bring first Miss Jackie Clark to the stage. Jackie, how are you doing?
I am fabulous. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. You know, there it is. There it is. Next up is Rico Winters. Rico, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing wonderful.
Awesome. Welcome to the show, both of you.
Thank you.
And next we have Mr. Eric Burke. How you doing, sir?
Hey, pleasure to be here. Hello, everybody.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Welcome.
second. Don't forget about that second.
Yeah, not junior. I don't play about that. I'm not a junior at all. At least that's not what my birth certificate say.
My man. Well, you know what? I'm gonna get out your way. And Melissa, it's all about you. Enjoy. Have a nice show.
Thank you, Amon. Thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna start with you, Jackie. Jackie is one of our female powerhouses. I take my hat off to you and bow down to you, sister. She is a graduate of Tuskegee University. She is a sister, a Black engineer, doing the damn thing each and every day, giving back to the community, making change. So Jackie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so Jackie Clark. So it's Jacqueline formally, but I go by Jackie. Born and raised in Florida, and I love art, but my mom was like, "You're not gonna make any money doing that." So she shipped me off to Tuskegee, which is, if you all don't know about it, historically black college, known for producing, scientists and engineers. And but since then, I've been in the cold. And the summary of my life is that I was always fit and strong, never been a little skinny girl because I've always been athletic. But after moving to Chicago, I immediately picked up 20 pounds, and it's been an up and down yo-yo journey personally. And after seeing so many people in my family die, what I'm going to say early, because ultimately God kind of controls it all. But I feel like in my family, is a lot of things that could have been avoided because of, weight. And, after struggling myself, I decided, hey, listen, I got to get this health under control. And I lived my entire life, and Coach Melissa knows, my entire life is a tax write-off. So I'm like, if I have to work out for the rest of my life, I'm going to make it a business and take the deductions. So that's a little bit about me, but I'm excited. I own 3 physical gyms locations here in Chicago, but recently just launched a fitness app to reach more people. So.
All right. So I will tell you, Jackie and we met, I would say, divine intervention, because we really met through an online platform and got the opportunity she came here to Maryland, got an opportunity to start working out. And it's been blessings on top of blessings. But Jackie, tell us a little bit more about what drove your passion of fitness, or what brought you to the arena of fitness.
Yeah. So again, as a part of that story, again, I don't know if men deal with this, but when you live in the colder climates, I'm going to just speak for myself. I was in a cycle of, I would, gain 20 pounds in the wintertime. And in Chicago, it's like summer bodies are made in the, wintertime. So you lose the 20 pounds in time for summer, you pick up the weight, during the summer, eating and drinking, whatever. So I was in this cycle. I call it the gerbil wheel of fitness. That's my little pun intended. But I was on a gerbil wheel of fitness, losing and gaining 20 pounds. And on one of those cycles, it was April of 2015, had paid for a personal trainer, paid $1,000 for this guy to work me out. But unfortunately, my dad ended up in the hospital and passed away. And man, I had never lost anyone that close to me. And I just was not prepared for the anger, the feelings of guilt, and all the emotions associated with grief. And I looked up one day, you all, and I was about 30 pounds overweight. I'd always ranged between like maybe no more than 185, but I got up to 215 something pounds. A friend of mine posted me on Facebook New Year's Day. And I was like, first of all, why y'all let me get that big? And then 3 days later, I was traveling for a company called Accenture, doing consulting, traveling Monday through Thursday on a company Amex card, y'all, having a good time, eating and drinking, Morton Steakhouse, all that stuff. But 3 days after the new year of 2016, I passed out in flight. And I was like, I felt myself passing out. I was like slapping myself. I was like, God, please don't let me pass out. I promise I'm gonna change. And when I made that promise to God to take control of my health and fitness journey, I lost 60 pounds in 6 months, and decided that because I was able to do this, I know other people, want to do the same thing. And I reached out to this guy who helped me lose my weight, and asked to kind of use this program in the Chicagoland area. And we took off. Like the rest is kind of history. So really my own personal kind of come to Jesus moment, so to speak. Almost, I didn't know if I was gonna die or not, but I just said, if I don't die, I'm gonna change my relationship with food and all that, and get serious about my health. And we've helped over 51 people lose 100 pounds in the last 8 years. But to me, again, I believe in God, and I just felt like God was telling me it's still more. And so created the fitness app to be able to reach more people. So really that's kind of like how I started my fitness journey. But really my mission is to improve the life expectancy of my family, my friends, and my community. And I take this so seriously. I'm passionate about this, similar to you. And that's why we kind of bond right away. But I'm so serious about helping our people get healthier. Yeah, the money's gonna come, but it's really about how can I help people improve their lives. So
I really love that. I admire that. So when you came into fitness, like trying to lose all the weight, trying to get back healthy, what were some of the common myths that you found that you heard about fitness? And, how did you debunk the myth just to kind of get around that barrier of coming in, working out and doing what you needed to do and get down to business?
Well, two things. I mean, when I was younger, I could eat a full Domino's pizza and still be okay with losing the weight. When I was 25, I was like, I want to lose 5 pounds. I'd get in the gym, lose 5 pounds, find a boyfriend, and it would be easy. Now, losing at 40 and 50, losing 5 pounds, it takes you 5 months. So I think one of the biggest things that I had to unlearn was the idea of starving myself. I think people think if you eat less, that's a good thing. But what happens is your body is actually like, wait a minute, Jackie woke up and didn't feed me. So when you do feed me, I'm going to hold on to that weight. So that was the first thing. And again, definitely can't outwork out a bad diet. I tried everything. I tried the lemonade cleanse for 14 days. The grapefruit diet, the smoothie things. I tried everything. Jenny Weight Watchers, all that stuff. And, again, it's just about being consistent. It's not about being perfect, but it's just really about making sure you intake that protein, those vegetables, and actually eating more. When I have to tell people, like, you actually have to eat more to weigh less, right? So the more you eat of the right things, your body's like, oh, Melissa's feeding me, so I don't have to hold on to the fat, because God designed us to preserve life at all times, right? So if your body does not see food coming in, it's like, well, wait a minute. You woke up, got dressed, ran around, did all this, and you didn't feed me. And so your body really is in a state of panic, that cortisol and all that. So I think the biggest thing for me is that, eating more to weigh less. And again, the starvation thing, it just does not, maybe it worked for some people, but it didn't work for me and a lot of other people. So those are the biggest two mindset shifts I had to make.
Okay. And I'm going to come back to that a little bit closer to the end, but I want to jump to Eric. Hi, Eric.
Hello.
Eric and I met during Tribe. He's a beast in the gym, I will tell you. A fitness enthusiast, fitness guru. If you're looking for a way to get slim and figure it out, I think he's mustered it. I think he's mastered it. So for the same questions for you, Eric, tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of what led
Again,
you to this arena.
okay. Eric Brooks, originally from Columbia, Maryland, spent a lot of summers in Cincinnati, Ohio. Graduated from the New York Film Academy in New York. And what started my journey is being 90 pounds in the ninth grade. For me, I didn't like it. I still feel disgusted thinking that I was 90 pounds in the ninth grade. So I remember going to my father around spring break because I knew he was going to the gym, and I said, Dad, it's time. I gotta go. And he was like, Are you serious? I said, I'm serious. And so at that time, I trained probably at least 6 days a week, ate a ton of peanut butter, and went from 90 to 130 in 4 months. Now I probably was growing because I was a small little kid. God bless my home economics teacher used to say, I felt so sorry for you, Eric, because you were just a tiny little thing. Which I was, but it threw people off my sophomore year to see me put on this size. So that's what started the journey. Now, in the midst of the journey, I remember one time seeing myself in a picture and just carrying excess fat. And I said, I'm working too hard in the gym to be carrying this much body fat. So I had a friend that I was working with that I knew had a son that was a trainer, and I had him put together a diet for me. So from that point, I started paying more attention to my diet. But then I felt like there's more to the mathematical equation because I do things in math. So I have a friend in New York that used to compete on stage, and I asked her advice about cardio. So started coming up with a cardio routine. But then, as our young lady said, you get older, your body changes. So I just say, I need to play around with my diet. And that's what I have done and still do till this day to get new goals and stuff of that nature. So that leads me up to today. Just I think I got a good rhythm as far as my diet, weightlifting, cardio, um, and I let the results show for itself. So that's all I got to say about that.
And I will tell you, I've worked out beside him, with him, teaching him in yoga class. Oh, he has nailed it. Was that inappropriate? I figured I'd just put it out there for you, Eric. Sorry. I get
Mm.
pimping you out and stuff like that, but that's just our running joke. But when it comes to Jackie knows we've been doing it to a couple of people too. You know how it works. But when it comes to myths around fitness, what are some of the myths that you've run into, and how have you gotten around the myths to keep you from hitting a wall and your weight loss plateauing or whatever, or your results plateauing?
An early on myth I ran into was because I was so small, being smaller, it was all Eric, you'll never have to worry about diet because of the way your metabolism just seems to run. And as you get older, things change. And as our lady friend said, you can't outrun a bad diet. So I had to realize I'm human like everyone else. Now I'm not going to say I track macros like every person, but I pay attention to, okay, you done had a little bit too much of this to drink. You done had a little bit too much of this to eat. You got to at least get consistently doing stuff good before you reward yourself with those things that you know are bad habits. So that's the biggest myth I've run into. And the biggest thing is just because something works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you or the
Right.
next person, which we fall into that trap all the time. Oh, what are you eating? I get that all the time. What are you eating? How much protein, et cetera, et cetera. Well, my goals aren't your goals. So my diet is working for my particular goals. Your goals might be something totally different. So that's another myth that I think we have to get away from because it's a marathon, not a sprint. So we're going to keep learning as we go along. I've learned so much up till today, and there's still so much more I need to learn and will learn. So that's the fun in this journey that I have.
Nice. Enrico,
Hmm.
I'm going to come to you with the same questions. Rico and I met also in the Columbia gym in tribe class. You are my, um, let me see. You
Hmm.
are my dream of a jump rope master. And
Oh,
there's a reason I say that. So tell the viewers a little bit about yourself and what brought you to fitness. And Rico has an amazing story. I love it.
okay. So I'm Rico Winters. I'm photographer, fitness enthusiast, trainer, and a fan of all of you now. First time meeting you, Jackie, but I've always been a fan of Melissa and Eric. I've done some photography with them and plan to do some more soon, as Eric requested, and he said it comes from Melissa. Uh, so my journey is a little different in two ways. One is because there's really no origin. Um, as long as I can remember, I wanted to be an athlete from an age before age 10. So with wanting to be an athlete, I always thought about fitness and diet. And so I was always an athlete throughout high school and even beyond. Now, Melissa, what you're referring to is the beyond. Um, so I got married, I had two kids, life became overwhelming. I was raised that you put everybody before yourself. You take care of everybody before you take care of yourself. Um, and I had in my mind, I knew that I can always come back, but I didn't want my kids to have to come back from anything. So they were my priority. My wife was my priority. And I always thought about myself last. And I was working as a physical therapist assistant. And I would say one day I got on the scale. I was always a big guy, not big guy, but muscular guy. I was about 240. I said, that's not bad. I like to be around 225. I can manage 240. And just living a life almost like I was going through a revolving door. It was almost like I was a robot doing the same thing over and over and over again. One day I'm walking up the stairs and I was out of breath. So I went home and I got on the scale. I was 281. Yes, that's what I did. That's what I said. Yes, I was 281.
Ooh.
My wife was from, or she's ex-wife is from Colombia, and we were planning a trip. And I went on that trip, and when I came back, I was 291. So I just say, hey, I was 300 pounds, right?
Right.
And I said, if I don't do something now, I'm going to be one of my stroke patients. And that's when I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. And what I decided was that if I did two things, if I went to the gym as soon as I woke up, that's going to be a recipe for success. And if I did that every single day, that's another piece of the puzzle. I can't lose. I'm going every day and I'm doing it as soon as I get up. So one of the things that I realized is that I couldn't run. I couldn't run like I used to run. I used to run around the track, and I said, I'm not burning these calories fast enough. I said, there has to be a better way. And that's when I said, I'm going to try to jump rope. And I fell in love with the jump rope, and it became a part of I do it every day. It was, for me, it was because when I first started, all I did was cardio and I changed the diet. And the jump rope was just amazing for me and still is today. And I lost 90 pounds altogether. The first 6 months, I lost 80. And my diet was basically breakfast, lunch, and dinner, salads with a lot of protein. In between meals, fruit, maybe some nuts. But it was the consistency. I did that for 6 months. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, salads with high protein. And that's how I lost the weight.
The salad diet. I like it.
So
Yeah.
thank
Yeah.
you all
Better than
so-
me.
I know.
Well,
Eric,
yes.
you just eat ice. I'm just
Well,
joking. I want to
Eric,
thank you all for sharing that information. And all of you said something that kind of resonated with me, right? You start talking about the consistency of things. So here's my question for you. With life being so stressful and so busy, because each and every one of you are holding down multiple jobs, requirements, and constantly going, what has been a proven strategy for each and every one of you to being consistent with your health and staying on top of your goals? I'll throw that out there to Eric first.
Being a competitor has kept me in shape. I always bring up The Last Dance to younger kids who didn't get a chance to see Michael Jordan. And I say the essence to that docuseries is listen to how Michael Jordan used the simplest little things to keep himself motivated. And he motivated him to a point where it just got personal. And so that's what I try to do with my motivation. Like my first motivation was overheard my uncle talking to my dad about his son, going, well, Eric looks good now, but wait till he hits his 30s. My son Dax, he used to look good. He hit his 30s, he wasn't the same. And I'm like, oh, is that right? No disrespect to my cousin, but Dax is no Eric Brooks. And so I used that motivation all through my 30s. And once I got to my 40s, I remember the HIIT class we used to take. And one guy saying, well, wait till you hit this part of your 40s, Eric. Your body's going to fall apart. You're going to start wondering what happened. I said, oh, is that right? I said, okay, that might have happened to you, but you ain't Eric by a long shot. And so I use that. Now my new motivation is to my cousins that are in their 50s going, yeah, you'll look like this in your 50s. I'm like, yeah, you'll be eating your words of crow. I can guarantee that.
I love it. I love it.
So it might
Melissa,
sound insane, but it's keeping me going.
Yes. Yes.
I want to interrupt, and I
Sure.
want to tell a story about Eric.
Okay. Absolutely.
So one day we're working out in the gym, and there's a guy. He looks like he's about 50, and he's in jeans and dress shoes, and he comes in and he's doing seated rows.
Uh-huh.
He comes in the next day, he's doing the same thing. The third day, same thing. So I said, I'm going to speak to this guy and try to give him some guidance. So I went over to him and I said, are you new to working out? He said, yes, I am. He said, I just been doing my chest. I said, no, that's a back exercise. So Eric comes over and Eric says, what are your goals? And the guy looks at me and he points at me and he says, I want to look like him. And Eric said, that's going to take years. And he walked away.
Eric.
And he walked
I remember
away.
that day.
And I
Oh
thought,
my gosh.
so I said, I saw Eric later. I said, Eric, why were you so harsh with that guy? He said, I am tired of people coming in here thinking this happens overnight.
Yep.
And I
That's
found
me.
that to be so true, that people think that it's an overnight success
Mm-hmm.
and that you can just wake up and do it. It doesn't work that way.
And
You
with
remember that day, Eric?
I remember it. I remember where I was standing and where I said it and everything.
and with that, Rico, what would you say, or what advice would you give viewers and listeners on consistency and motivation, and just kind of stand in the fight once you start working out? Because I know along the way people will lose the motivation, they won't be consistent, they will make excuses sometimes about why you can't get to the gym, and that's the ebbs and flow of life, right? But what proven strategy have you used over the years to help you?
Well, first of all, let me say that that has been the toughest question for me to answer because I love it. I love every aspect of it. And I don't know life without being motivated. I don't know what it feels like not to want to do it. I know what it feels like to make a choice not to do it because you choose to do something else. But to not have that desire, that energy, I don't know what it feels like. Um, I remember um, one year I went to the gym every single day. And it must have been Eric who spoke to Jasmine because Jasmine came up to me and said, it was the new year. She says, Eric told me you didn't miss a day. I said, no. But psychologically, for me, it is difficult to miss a day. Even though sometimes I know I need to take a rest. Remember how I told you I kind of started the journey with the idea of going every day?
Mhm.
So with that idea, I know what happens. to me. I know the success that I had. It's hard to break away. It's when I don't go to the gym, I start to feel sick,
Mm.
right? It messes with me mentally sometimes. So, what I would say to people who struggle with motivation is that motivation is not as important as having a reason. So, if you have a reason that is worthy of going to the gym, worthy of staying consistent, if that reason is your health, that's more important than being motivated because motivation, if you lack motivation, you can say, hey, I don't have the motivation, I don't have to go. But if you're going for a reason, that reason exists whether you have a motivation or not.
Mhm.
The reason is I want to be healthy. The reason is I want to live longer. The
Mhm.
reason is I want to come off my high blood pressure medication,
Mhm.
which I hear all the time.
Right.
So having a reason to me is more important than motivation. And you have to commit to the lifestyle. And commitment means you're going to do it when you don't want to do it.
Absolutely.
It means you're going to be there when you don't have motivation, but you're committed. It's
Yeah.
like anything else. It's like a marriage. When your marriage is not perfect that day, it doesn't mean that's the end of the marriage. You get through it that day
Mhm.
and you say, I made it through that day. It's that way with any relationship. So if you have that relationship with yourself, with the gym, with your workout, with your diet. So I go to work and they laugh at me because I eat chicken every single day and I eat it for breakfast. And so someone says to me one day, how do you do that? I said, because I like the results. I like the results of eating chicken. It's easy for me to mass cook, and I don't care what food tastes like. Now,
Mhm.
I can cook like a chef when I want to. So when I want food to taste spectacular, I make it spectacular. But sometimes I just want the protein, and I don't care what it tastes like. So a coworker who sits next to me, she said, "You get up at 3:30 in the morning and you go to the gym?" I said, "Yes, I do." And then she said, "Well, that's why you look the way you look, and I look the way I look." So I say you have to have a reason, and your reason has to supersede your motivation.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I love that. And, you know, when you talk about reasons, just for the viewers, it's imperative that your reason has something to do with you and not necessarily anyone else. Now, my reason might be to look great in this little black dress, but overall, it's how do I fundamentally feel inside of my body? You know, is it functioning properly? Is it doing the things that, you know, the aesthetics piece? That's great, but what are my checks and balances to make sure everything is working properly? And Miss Clark, Jackie, tell us about consistency for you and what strategies you use to kind of stay consistent with the busyness of your life. And I work with you, so I know your life is busy.
Yeah, I've been able to think about this. So I would say a couple things. My basic premise that I want to kind of come up with a motto is that you do have time, right? You do have time, make time. So I'll talk about a few things. I saw this quote, and I'm gonna probably mess it up, but it said you can either spend, 1 hour to live 23 hours a day, or you can spend 24 hours dead. And it was so blunt. Like Eric, you probably love that, right? It's so blunt and in your face. And and here's how I think
You know
about
I
it.
love that.
Right. I just think you probably gonna use it, right? Right. I just think about like my grandmother died at 70, overweight for most of her life. My dad died at 64. My favorite aunt died at 60, 62, 55. And then I had some cousins die at 47 and 48. In fact, one of my cousins that died at 48, that was the same day I passed on that flight. And I'm not like, oh my God, in my mind, I'm thinking I'm next. So I kind of like, I guess for me, the fear of like an early death due to something that I actually kind of can control. Because like if God gonna take me out, like for whatever reason, but I'm not gonna leave this earth because I can't choose to get up and work out and eat. So that's kind of my first at the top of that motivation piece. But then when it comes to consistency, here are the strategies that I use. I read an article. So Rico, I applaud you for 365. Lord, that's crazy, but it's amazing that worked for you. I read this article that said if you don't let yourself get to the third day, so my whole thing is when I'm consistent with my workout, I just don't let myself get to the third day. So if I'm on, let's say I'm traveling on vacation and there's not access to a gym or whatever, and let's say let's say I don't bring my clothes or whatever, or shoes, it's day 1, day 2. Day 3, I will walk up and down some stairs. So I just don't let myself get to that third day. Because when you get to that third day, again, Rico, you cannot relate to this, but it feels like you're starting over. It feels like you're starting over.
Yeah.
It's so hard, that inertia. I'm in engineering. So the inertia, once you stop doing that, now it's like, it's hard. So I don't let myself get to the third day. And the final thing that I do, and I'm so serious about this, I was working, similar to you, I was working in positions where people around me, like it's become normal to eat and drink garbage, like, but eating something healthy is like, you're weird.
Right.
So I was consulting for you all, the biggest companies in the world, Estee Lauder, L'Oreal, in executive boardrooms where you have the full layout, and people were like, oh, what is that you're eating? And I'm like, well, I'm eating food that's going to really drive my health and fitness goals. And then my boss, I was actually set up for a doctor's appointment, and he was like, well, I need you to fly out to Pennsylvania for Hershey or whatever it was. And I literally was like, because I have a family history of kidney disease, and if I get high blood pressure or diabetes, they're going to get worse faster. And I literally asked my boss, I'm like, so John, are you going to give me a kidney? Like, if you're not going to give me a kidney, then basically back up off me. And what I do, the concrete strategy is I block off my calendar every morning. So between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. Central Time, my calendar's blocked purple. And then if I don't work out during the morning, which again, kind of Rico, like you, as soon as I get out of bed, I got to work out, because if you don't, it doesn't happen. Or sometimes I'll block out 12 to 1 if I want to go walk or whatever, if I don't have time to actually do my morning workout. But for me, and basically the agreement is, okay, so Melissa with 1 L and 1 S, if you see my calendar blocked purple, that means you need to message me and ask me permission to block my calendar out, because I work with internationally people. And so people on the East Coast will start blocking my calendar off at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, hold up, partner. That's my time. And so that thing has worked for me by carving out calendar, because again, the CEO of the health, or the United Healthcare or whatever, he was murdered. They still had the board meeting. And I know a person that worked for them, they posted that job the next day. And so another thing I always tell people is that you are disposable at work.
Yes.
You're replaceable at work, but you're not replaceable. Eric, Brooks II, you're not replaceable in your family's life. Melissa, you're not replaceable with your family, but those jobs, they will replace us the next day. And so based on that, I'm like, well, my workout time is important. And my boss, right? She's like, you're so committed. Yeah, I'm so committed, because my grandma was on dialysis for 20 years. And again, another thing, the fear of loss, the motivation, it's like, based on how busy I am, if I have to end up on that, listen, 4 or 5 hours a week, whatever it is, sitting up in dialysis, no, I don't want that life. And so I'm trying to avoid it for as long as possible. I'm stage 3 kidney disease. If I really let my health go, my kidneys are going to decline faster, and I'm going to be stuck, in the dialysis center when I'm trying to be on the beach. And I refuse. So those are kind of the things. That motivation piece for me is more the fear of my life changing significantly. or dying early because I can't control what I intake in this decision to work out, and then making sure that people know I have something coming out, and I'm gonna let y'all in on this. I literally have a post saying I cheat on my husband every day.
Would you like to expound upon that? Because I'm sure in this forum, people are like,
right. I don't know if you all are in relationships.
Show.
But it's a serious thing where, again, I'm not sure if your significant other is not on the same page as you. Like some mornings, like my husband, I leave him in. I'm like, I'll leave him in bed, and I go to work out with like Alex Toussaint, whatever, the Peloton dude. I leave that bed, and so I go cheat on my husband every day with my workouts because he still sleeps at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and at 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock, that's my date. That's my date with my workout. So I cheat on my husband every morning with my workout, and I'm like, baby, can you sleep in? No, no, I cannot sleep in. I gotta work out, and he'd be like, well, I want you thicker. Again, I'm not judging you all men, but some men want their women thicker, right? And so I'm like, no, thickness is sickness. So no, I'm going to work out. And so for me, it's really, and I think Rico, you mentioned the mental health aspect. When I don't work out, I feel sluggish.
Yes.
Like I had to drink coffee today at 3 p.m. I didn't work out this morning.
Right.
So again, those are kind of like my things to kind of keep me going. And I try to help people understand that like your health is, really important. We do everything else, prioritize everything else, our jobs, other people, but we don't prioritize our health, and it has to change. So.
And I can't see the questions that people may be posing out there in the forum, but if any of the viewers have any questions whatsoever, drop them in the chat, and I'll get an answer back from the panels.
They said I cheat on my spouse.
I'll get something back for you. So I know you talked about, Rico, you talked about the protein piece. Eric, you talked about diet. Jackie, you talked about diet. So when it comes to getting fit, lifting weights, what would you recommend to individuals that are trying to lose fat and build muscle?
Oh, I want to answer that one.
Yeah, go for it, Rico.
Go right ahead.
Jump rope.
I watched you in full force here. Yes.
So I reckon my entire workout, believe it or not, is high intensity, right? The entire workout. So Eric knows how I work out. I do a set of weights and I immediately jump rope. Then I hit the weights again and then I immediately jump rope. So my recommendation would be to do cardio, weight training, and I would say 30 minutes of cardio along with your resistance training, and your diet has to be pinpoint accurate. I mean, you need to you need to know how much protein you're eating. And I would say for women and men, at a minimum, whatever you weigh, multiply that times 0.75. That's the amount of protein you need at a minimum. I would say about 1,700 calories for women, 2,000 for men. And if you follow that formula, you're progressively lifting weights, meaning you're adding the resistance over time. You're going to build muscle and you're going to lose fat. Um, it's that simple. It's worked for me, and it's worked for everybody that I've trained. So having the right amount of protein, having the right amount of calories, having a progressive overload over time with your weight training, and a minimum of 30 minutes of cardio, and you're good to go.
So I would have to ask this, since you brought up the protein piece. I'll throw this one to Eric. I know a lot of individuals will say, okay, well, I hear you with the formula on getting my protein in, and that's great. But you're going to have the people that do the calculation and be like, oh, crap, that's a lot of protein for me to try to take in. So, Eric, what would be your recommendation to individuals on supplementing or whatever in order to get the right right amount of protein into their diet? Because I know if you tell me I need 130 grams, I'm gonna be looking at you all day long while I'm in there eating Cheez-Its behind the closet.
Real quick, there are some questions in the chat.
Peanut butter. Like, I got some protein in this peanut butter.
Coach Melissa, after Eric answers, there are some questions in the chat too that I can see them. So.
Okay.
Well, I like this product by Body Health, getting perfect aminos, and that helps me get as far as my protein count for the day. I do like to get a certain amount of carbs in for my energy throughout the day, because if I don't, I'll get burnt out. And I love that, Rico does high intensity for his cardio, whereas mine is yoga class. And it's throwing people off. Like, how do you get a body that looks like that? And you're telling me yoga is your cardio? Well, let me explain you about my mindset.
I them daily in yoga class. I try to stay focused. I'm sorry. I had to. My bad.
Somebody else cheating too. I'm just joking.
No.
So that's why you miss some steps every now and then, because you ain't focused.
I know. But what were you saying? I'm sorry. And then we'll questions after this.
Because I have a bodybuilder mindset, and that's probably because I try to get a bodybuilder type of style body as natural as possible. Having my heart rate so low, I believe focuses on just the body fat and nothing else. And I tell people all the time, especially if you see someone getting ready for a show, and the prime example, they're on the Stairmaster looking like they're moving like a snail, and you're like, how in the world is that working? Well, eventually, the thermostat type of thing that they got going on underneath their hoodie, because they're wearing a hoodie, and they are sweating and profusely burning off that weight. So that's just my way of doing it. And as of right now, I look great, but it doesn't mean I might not go back to the treadmill for some cardio and play around with that. It's like I said earlier, play around with it. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I think I got X amount of calories that are good, but sometimes I find myself getting a little hungrier. And since I'm getting so lean, I go, okay, my body's asking for a little bit more protein, or might be asking for some more fats, whatever the case may be. My biggest change that I did was something as simple as with my creatine. My simple supplements, other than the perfect aminos that I brought up, are creatine, BCAAs, glutamine, basic things that anybody can get. And trust me, ladies, it's not going to have you looking like a man. You'll still have your feminine curves and all that other stuff. But I was taking one particular creatine for the longest time, and something just said, Eric, you used to take this one creatine. I don't know why you stopped, but switch back to it. Didn't realize switching back to the other one, I'm not as bloated. And because of that, I found myself at times when I would eat certain foods being slightly gassy. The body is not gassy anymore. So I'm like, okay. So I end up switching to like that particular product's glutamine and BCAAs. And I'm like, okay, I'm not as bloated, because I haven't been on a scale in a while. I'm the picture guy. So every Saturday when I get out of bed, I wake up, take a picture, and evaluate, okay, is my body going in the direction that I want it to go? And as Melissa can contest, it's going in the right direction as of today. So that's how I go about it. But I would recommend people use pictures and the scale, especially early on. If you know you got 100 or so pounds to go, use the picture, because sometimes you might hit a plateau where it's like, my weight isn't changing, but in the picture, my waist is getting smaller, or I'm getting more definition. So that's where taking pictures and using the scale go hand in hand. But those are the things I use today. And then I in the weight room, a lot of heavy compound lifting, deadlifts, bench press, pull-ups, barbell rows, things of that nature. Always trying to go as heavy as I can go for the most amount of reps as I can get. So that's my style of training.
Okay.
Coach,
And oh,
I can answer the questions in the chat.
okay. So before we jump to the questions, I just want to put a caveat out there. I know Eric talked about the amino acids and BCAAs and everything. What I would recommend to anyone that's listening or going on their fitness journey, one, always check with your provider before you introduce any supplements into your diet whatsoever, because you're going to be on whatever medication. If you are taking some, there could be some contraindications. So just be very careful about when you're introducing stuff in your diet. And then back to the piece that you spoke about a little bit, Jackie, the diet of eliminate this. I will tell you, I am an advocate of whole healthy eating. I am not in the business of recommending a crash diet ever, never, ever, never, ever, ever to anyone. It needs to be a balanced plate hitting your macros, whether it's your proteins, your fruits, your vegetables. So I just wanted to put that out there. And I do want to take a couple of questions. We won't get to all of them. I would like to take a good 3 solid questions, one for each individual. I'll let Jackie read them off for me. And then I want each panel member to just give us a little bit about what they're doing in the business world and or the fitness arena, any products that are coming up that people can follow you on. Jackie, what questions are out there?
So one question that's out here is they're asking about, would you recommend gym time longer than 1 hour? Now listen, this is my opinion. I my lifestyle is not set. When I was single, I could stay in the gym an hour and a half. Like my max is about 45 minutes. Again, I'm trying to figure out what is sustainable. If sustainable, an hour, 2 hours in the gym, if that's sustainable, if that's your full-time job, you're trying to compete to be a competitor, yes. But for regular people, I would say, 1 hour tops. I try to target around 45 minutes working out. Other than that, I can't sustain it. I can't sustain an hour workout every day.
So, Rico, about you?
What are my thoughts on that?
Yeah.
I think it depends on your goals. I think it depends on what you want to achieve. And for me, I used to do an hour of cardio and an hour of weight training. But for me, I enjoyed it too. So I would tell people, you don't have to do what I do, because I do a lot. And part of that is because I love it.
Right.
I said earlier, I recommend 30 minutes of cardio, but I can do an hour.
Okay.
Right now, I do the high intensity workout. I don't do any cardio with machines. It's all jump rope.
Body
I
weight.
do like a 15-minute warm up with kettlebells, jump rope, squats, and then I go into my weight training with jump rope. It
Okay.
takes me an hour and 15 minutes to, that's all the time I have, like Jackie said.
Yeah.
But I would love to do 2 hours. I just don't have that time.
That time. Yep.
So an hour and 15, it works.
Okay.
And it works well.
Okay. Well, let's take a couple more questions out there, Jackie, because we're getting close to
Yeah,
time.
one person was just asking about what diet do they recommend. It seems like the diet question should have been answered with the tips. So the question was like, what type of dieting do you recommend?
So I would say this, just quickly, when it comes to dieting, first look at your medications and what you're taking. I would always recommend something like the Mediterranean diet or a whole food diet, because it doesn't have like a lot of processed foods. You're heavy in your healthy fats, your fish, your vegetables, your nuts, your fruits. If it is a whole food, meaning you can get it out of the peripheral of the grocery store versus all your processed foods, and you're not doing all this heavy frying, heavy breading, you're good to go. Everything in moderation. But if you're picking up a diet, I recommend something that is on the pyramid, right? You don't want to just go out there and, okay, I did the lemonade diet and I lost 32 pounds in two hours. I'm being facetious, but you have to be very mindful, because we put that weight back on quickly, and then we kind of compound any health conditions that we have that are underlying. So you have to be very careful as you enter into that. And one more, we'll take one more.
Yeah, that was the only one I saw. Let me see. I only saw 2 questions. Anybody have any questions in here, you all?
Well,
Going once, going twice.
so we are coming down to the wire. Any type of programs, initiatives, anything that either of you have going on that you would like to put out in the atmosphere? Eric?
Well, I am fingers crossed on hold for a couple commercial gigs because I am an actor and model. But outside of that, as Rico put out there, we will be doing some fitness pictures before you know it. So you'll be able to check this physique without a shirt in the future.
Sounds good. Let me go. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So,
No, you go ahead.
Melissa, I have to tell you this one quick story.
Okay.
So, I did this photo shoot with Eric, and it was the first time I did a shoot.
They're trying to tell us to hurry up when they play the music in the
Oh,
background. But you're good.
the next day I was in the gym and somebody says, "Man, you are working out like crazy." I said, "Yeah, I just spent 2 hours with Eric with his shirt off." So
Oh,
I'm highly motivated.
there you go. And Jackie, what do you have for us?
Yeah, so we're in a soft launch phase right now, Journey 365, where we help people make small changes every day. Coming up in September is going to be our 30-day trim down. Again, it's to really kind of help people lose 5 to 10 pounds. If you do that, it's 5 months, right? You can still lose 25 to 50 pounds. So we're going to be launching that program middle of September. Just excited about that. And just really, if you know anybody out there, so again, we can do the calculations on the macros, but our software allows you to kind of plug and play your fitness accountability in terms of the food, the fitness. They're competing right now for 5,000 Hilton Grand Vacation points. And so with the app, I can see that everyone's activity, right? I can see what you're doing. I see you logging your meals, and they get points. So somebody is up to 1,000 points already. And the minimum was to get 365 points to qualify to win the grand prize. So just excited about the level of participation and excitement that we have for the app right now. But the goal really is to help 10,000 people lose 50 pounds. So I'm setting a BHAG goal, a big, hairy, audacious goal of helping 10,000 people lose 50 pounds. So I'm speaking it into existence.
And it's going to happen. So we are down to the wire. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming on tonight, taking time to speak with me about your fitness journey, putting tips out there. If we get any more questions that come in from the viewers, I'll drop them in your box or reach out to you for that guidance. And then the song you hear in the background, just to put the plug in, that's my son's music.
Okay.
Okay.
Turn it up.
Jackie Crockett, thank you for the music, for the show. I love you. And I love each and every one of you. And great thank you, and have a great night.
Have a good night.
Look forward to meeting you guys when I come to Maryland.
It was a pleasure.
We're all
Nice meeting you, Jackie.
Jackie, we got
Next
it.
time I come.
Her mom.